Yeah.
Back at it like a good habit.
Yes, guys. So my mouth is feeling better. Yay.
But before we go into that, let me tell y'all a little story time. What didn't happen? And when I say what then, you know what I'm saying? That means what has. So we went shopping, man. We were down in town in LA, man. We were shopping. I didn't have no cash on me. So if you downtown LA and you shopping, they had these little ATMs out front of the stores. So I ain't think nothing of it. I went to the ATM, put my card in, got my cash out, did my due. Long story short, this before we came to California. We flew back to Atlanta. We were chilling, doing our thing at home. Next thing you know, I start seeing a bunch of transactions coming out of the account. I mean, I saw somebody went to the movie theater. They got some popcorn. I think they got some nachos. I don't know if they went to Victoria's Secrets, but they went wherever they were in that same plaza going ham on me with my card.
Yeah. Crazy.
Long story short, after going back and forth, I was able to get all my cash back. But who wants to go to that?
Nobody.
So you know what? I'm excited to bring you with today's sponsor, Aura, because of that reason. You feel me?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, me too.
Aura is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the so-called dark web, where criminals sell stolen information looking for your emails, passwords, and social security numbers. It alerts you fast if it finds anything. They help you fight back against those annoying websites that make your personal information public by automatically requesting removal of your info. That helps reduce robocalls, because who like robocalls? Hi, we got 10,000 for you.
Aura gives you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries, like if someone was opening a loan or credit card in your name. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
And they protect your devices from malware, spyware, viruses, and more, so the bad guys can't break in.
You getting in here?
Or it even helps you manage what your kids can do on their devices. Now that's the dopest. Restrict specific apps, set screen time limits, and even set focus times to ensure your child is doing their homework instead of binging YouTube. And their password manager lets you store and access your online passwords securely and conveniently. Maybe you already have an app that does one of these things, but with Aura you don't have to download and pay for 7 separate apps. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link. You'll be shocked at how much of your private information Aura finds exposed over these 2 weeks. Go to https://aura.com/SIBO and Snapper to start your free trial, also linked below in the description, or scan the QR code. Yeah. Bye.
Back at it like a good habit, boy.
What's going on, guys? So glad you're here with us, diving into another video. Hope you've been liking our content that we have been dropping. I have been loving it. What you got to say, baby? What you got to say? I know you've been loving it.
Of course. What better than to educate yourself? It was good when you just doing entertainment. That's cool and all, but it ain't nothing like the education standpoint.
I'm learning new things and learning facts.
So, all right.
What we got?
We've been on this slave trades, man. Now we got the Viking slave trade. What did the Vikings do?
Let's see.
What did the Vikings do?
Vikings was ruthless.
I know.
They wasn't nothing to play with. I remember reading about the Vikings.
First thing you think about the Vikings, you think about
warriors.
The big hats with the
swords and
big burly dudes stanking.
Those armor things and Murder, death, kill. See?
Just like
Armor, spears, swords.
I don't see the hat.
Vikings have been popularized in mythology as
man,
murderous
look at him.
plunderers who rode longboats raiding and pillaging settlements.
I just
Could you
said
imagine something
murder,
like
death,
that, looking
kill.
like Megatron coming after
I know.
Woo!
Run for your life!
The Baltic coastline, French coastline, and the British Isles. However, a far less common association, but equally appropriate for the raiding and pillaging Viking, is the Viking slave trader. Slave trading was an integral part of the Viking economy, as one Arabic writer at the time noted. The Viking Rus had no cultivated fields and they lived by pillaging. Vikings would not only enslave the local population of the settlements they raided in France, Britain, and Ireland, but also demanded slaves as tribute from the Eastern Slavic communities in Russia and Finnish farming communities. So prolific was the enslavement of the Slavic people, English speakers derived the word slave from Slavic. Many of the enslaved were destined for rich, vibrant markets in the Islamic world, such as those in Baghdad. The Viking Rus would use extensive Russian waterways to transport not only their slaves, but other Baltic goods, furs of all kinds, and forest products. Contemporaries noted that the Vikings treated their slaves well and dressed them appropriately, but not out of any humanitarian concerns, rather to make sure that their merchandise wasn't damaged and presentable in order to extract maximum silver from their slaves. Female slaves were also expected to fornicate with their Viking slave masters.
Is that what's going on here?
Muslim traders took the act of evaluating a slave very seriously. One Persian writer from the 11th century wrote,
There we go again. There we go again.
Muslim slave masters. And then what it just said.
Because I keep getting a lot of opposition in the comment section about Muslims not having slaves. Everywhere I go, it said Muslims have slaves, so stop saying that.
Yeah, it's a true fact that the slave trade was a lucrative business worldwide. Period. Across the globe, slave trade was a business.
So your group wasn't exempt.
Exempt.
Stop
No.
going out here with that privileged mindset.
Come on.
most people imagine that buying slaves is like any other form of trading. In fact, the buying of slaves is a branch of philosophy. The author continued by describing various techniques in evaluating slaves, warning that the yellowing of a slave's complexion can be a sign of hemorrhoids, and suggests a potential buyer to ask a slave to lie flat on the ground. Then the buyer would press on both sides and watch closely for any signs of inflammation or pain.
Yo!
Muslim slave traders also prized slave eunuchs and would castrate many of their Slavic slaves. One Arabic writer...
Oh, that's horrible.
And Muslims didn't have slaves.
They would castrate many of their Slavic slaves. That's horrible.
If you took a Slavic twin and castrated one, he would certainly become more skillful and more lively in intelligence and conversation than his brother, who would remain ignorant, foolish, and exhibit the innate simple-mindedness of the Slavs. Castration for Slavic slaves was thought to purify and improve the Slavic mind. However, castration wasn't performed on African slaves, as castration was thought to negatively impact African slaves.
People,
It should be
period.
noted that during this period, it wasn't just Muslims and Vikings that were engaged in slave trading. Much of Europe was engaged in slave trading. The Venetians were especially adept at buying and selling of slaves. Traversing the Russian waterways was no easy task for the Viking slave traders, as ever-increasing commercial activities from the Russian waterways attracted the attention of nomadic steppe tribes, such as the Pechenegs. The Pechenegs would wait for the Viking flotilla at narrow riverways so they could be attacked from the shore, or they would wait at points where rushing rapids would force the Viking flotilla to disembark. The Viking slave traders did not always have to make the lengthy trip from the Baltic Sea all the way to the southern Islamic world to sell their slaves. Financial intermediaries were available along the Volga and Dnieper River. They would purchase the slaves from the Vikings, who then would sell the slaves onward to the southern Islamic world. Both the Volgo-Bulgars and the Khazars would act as these financial intermediaries. The Khazars had their capital, Atil, situated at the mouth of the Volga River on the Caspian Sea, making an ideal middle ground between the northern European Vikings and the Islamic world. The Volgo-Bulgars had their capital city, the Great Bulgar, situated in the middle of the Volga River, allowing the Volgo-Bulgars to extract huge amounts of tolls from the north to south slave trade. Famed cities such as Novgorod and Kiev had humble beginnings as collection points, trading posts, and service stations for this long-distance commerce. But it wasn't just slaves that were being bought and sold at these great markets on the Volga River. The Vikings brought other goods to sell, as one Arab author listed. Fur of foxes, beavers, spotted hares, goats, birch barks, hazelnuts, falcons, prepared horse hides, honey, and maple wood, amongst others. The Viking Rus were not only paid in Islamic silver coins, but with other trade goods that the Islamic world exported or re-exported, such as silk. Over 100 silk fragments were recovered from a remarkable ship excavated in Osberg, Norway. Silk could also be found as a prestige burial object in Viking tombs.
Look at that shit.
Trading through the Russian waterways proved financially beneficial for all parties, except of course for the slaves. The Vikings grew fabulously wealthy and would adorn their women with a necklace for every 10,000 Islamic coins or dirhams they've earned, and some women could be seen wearing many of these symbols of wealth. Islamic coins could be found traveling up north. Over 200,000 Islamic coins from this time period have been recovered in northern, central, and eastern Europe. About 45,000 of these Islamic coins were found in Scandinavia, 20,000 on the Pomeranian coast, and 60,000 in Gotland. 1 in 3 Islamic coins that passed through Russia made its way back to the Baltic region to the Viking strongholds. In the 9th and 10th century, Scandinavian countries did not have their own minted currency. Rather, they would simply use the Islamic coins, dirhams, as local currency to conduct everyday commercial transactions. The Scandinavians would also cut their dirhams into pieces to further facilitate commercial activities within their own local communities. As time went on, the north-to-south slave trade began to dwindle, as the Viking Rus saw it more profitable to extract protection money from the Eastern Slavic communities rather than to enslave and sell them. Originally, the Slavic communities of central and southern Russia were paying tribute to the Khazars, but by the end of the 9th century, the Viking Rus demanded that all tribute payments should go to them and forbade the Slavic communities from paying tribute to the Khazars. The Khazar were growing fabulously wealthy as the go-between for the northern Baltic region and the Islamic world, charging tolls on all shipments that passed through their territory. These lucrative tolls resulted in the Khazars becoming the target of raids by the Viking Rus, which spilled over to all-out war for the trading routes. Khazar Muslim communities were ransacked and pillaged with a ferocity the Vikings were infamous for. One contemporary writer wrote, "If a leaf were on a branch, one of the Rus would carry it off. Not a grape, not a raisin remains." In 965, the capital city of Khazars were completely destroyed, and the Khazar were effectively removed as the financial intermediaries between Northern Europe and the Islamic world. However, by the 10th century, due to internal strife...
Hey, bro, how many times you gonna keep burping through your nose and smell like croutons with salad dressing on top of it?
You can smell it!
Yeah, I smell it. It's loud. I smell like it's still at the restaurant.
That's the sauce I had.
What? You might need to go out there and
I didn't know you can smell it, babe.
get some IV from the back of that ambulance.
harsh weather, the Islamic world became destabilized. The caliphate in Baghdad collapsed, with Basra being sacked in 923 and Mecca being attacked 7 years later. A series of harsh winters from 920 to 960s devastated the region, leading to massive food shortages and crop failures. As one Armenian author put it, people were forced to pick the grains of barley from the dung of horses and asses and eat them. And after 7 successive years of crop failure in 950s, many went mad and attacked each other senselessly. In 969, a catastrophic failure of the Nile floods left many dead or starving, which resulted in revolution and uprising all over northern Africa. A new powerful leader rose to fill the power vacuum, the Fatimids. The destabilization of the Islamic world made for bad trading, and Viking traders shifted their gaze from the previously lucrative north to south by the Volga River Islamic trade routes to the legendary gilded city of Constantinople. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this short trip in economic history. Please consider liking and subscribing to the strange world of econ.
Yep, just back to what I said.
Pretty much.
Vikings had slaves, Muslims had slaves. Vikings had slaves, Muslims had slaves. They got in fights.
The slave trade was going on all over the world.
Everybody
was
had
doing
them.
it. Every culture was doing it within their own culture. And then as they needed things, this community, this group of people, these wealthy people. But the thing was, if you grew up rich, or you grew up in a stronger community, then you weren't a slave, because the weaker people, as they said in the several other videos we've done, were the ones that were being conquered.
Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, everybody has slaves.
Yeah.
Stop commenting talking about somebody disrespecting Muhammad. No, you sound like a full-blown idiot. You need to do your research and stop taking it from your own feelings. So It's all about what's the data said, not about your personal feelings, because they didn't mean nothing. So, boom. That's how I felt, and I got that off my chest. Thank you. Boom. What?
Anyway, the Viking slave trade is what we're talking about. But no, I mean, this was really, really good because I mean, I remember hearing about the Vikings and remember studying them in school, and they were brutal. Them people didn't play no games. That's just what I remember. And when I saw that picture, I was like, "Yep, that's what exactly as I envisioned the Viking. That's what I envisioned."
I envisioned just a little bit different, like everybody had them tusks coming out the helmets, but no. Hey, not everybody look like that, but that's just like how people paint pictures, and that's not how it truly.
Right, but the thing is, this just goes to solidify the more and more we continue to do slavery, across the nations, you get to see a true understanding, and you get to really see that it was going on all over the world, and your whole perspective has surely changed.
Mine has changed. I have a totally different mindset on it now.
Wow. And even to see Scandinavian, people were enslaved, and how, they treated castration.
No.
They said
the Muslim was castrating
the Scandinavians.
units.
No, the Scandinavians were being castrated. They were saying that some were. I didn't say. I don't care who by. That's not the point. I'm
saying that's what make it in the context of what they were talking about.
No, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying that they were the whole just to know that there were Scandinavian slaves and they were being castrated. I mean, I know that probably was going on in other. Doing other slave trades as well. But when they said that, and I was like, they looked at it as a view of being smart, being enlightened, being strong and vigor to be castrated. But that's like opposite. But it was funny how they said that wasn't looked upon in the same light for African slaves to be castrated.
Yeah.
So I don't think no matter what race you are, being castrated is not the ticket. It ain't enlightenment to be castrated.
Bye-bye to them
It's
balls.
just the way people thought. It's like, where did they get their thinking from in those times back then? That's what I would like to know. Like, where did they derive their mindset and how they thought things should be and how they should go?
All right. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't take a nosedive, but comment down in the section below if you want some more.
See you guys in the next video. Love you. Bye, you guys.